Welcome back to another Clash of Spears battle report. Today we'll be doing the Hussite Wars using the point system from the Clash of Spears Arcana book and the Clash of Katanas army book. So today the Hussites will be defending this old fortress, while the Crusading Knights will be trying to assault that fortress. We'll be doing 800 points around there. The Knights probably have a little bit more points, but that's fine considering the Hussites will have a defensible position. So, the Hussites will be starting formed up on the fort, while the Hussites will be on this edge of the board as we begin the battle. So, with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the army lists. And here we have the defending Hussites. This is primarily a ranged army, defensive army. So, we have 2 units of 10 billmen, 10 crossbowmen, a war wagon with 6 crew, a light cannon with 3 crew, and then 8 handgunners, being led by a level 3 and a level 2 leader. Alright, on to the Crusading army. And for the Crusaders, we have a primarily mounted army here. As you can see, we have 3 units of 5 mounted knights with lances, a unit of 10 men-at-arms, and then a unit of 6 light cavalry with crossbows, also being led by a level 3 and a level 2 leader. These are both mounted. The level 3 leader has the standard barrier, while the Hussite level 3 leader has a music player, or musician. So with that, we'll go ahead and begin deployment and begin the battle. Alright, we have deployed our units. For me, I have my handgunners up on the top of the fort, light cannon in the center, leader level 3 behind him, and a contingent of billmen behind them. War wagon on the right with the crossbowmen behind the redoubt, and the billhooks and level 2 on the right flank, guarding any flanking maneuvers. For the Crusaders, pretty standard deployment. Cavalry across the line, crossbowmen on her right flank with mounted knights, men-at-arms in the center, and then the other 2 knight units on the left flank, with the leaders spaced out between them. Alright, let's roll for initiative. Both ones. Go ahead and re-roll. And Hussites get the first turn. Alright, for my first action, we're going to activate the light cannon with my level 3 leader, and we're going to be firing into her men-at-arms. So I'll be getting 2 dice for this shot, and it'll be a 4 to hit. And that is 1 hit, and this will be at -3 to your save. 4, I don't think that'll do it. What's your save?
My save is a 4.
So you need a 2 or 4. You need a 7, yeah, okay. Yep. No save for that.
No save?
Nope.
Okay.
So you just lose 1 guy. And then we'll move on to the next action. Before we move on to Crusaders, that men-at-arms unit needs to make a grit save.
I need 3s.
Passing all but 1, gaining 1 fatigue, and then Crusaders will activate. Alright, Crusaders activated one of the knight units, and they made 2 movement forward towards my lines. Then action goes back to me. I'm going to activate my crossbowmen, which will fire into them. So this will be a 5 to hit, and they will get a +1 to their save since I am farther than 6 inches. And that looks like 3 hits to the mounted knights. So they will need
3.
2. Oh, no, yeah, you're right. 3. And they take 1 casualty. And then that'll be 2 to the grit save. Passing both.
Yep.
Alright. And then I'll get 2 unloaded tokens for that. And then we go back to Crusaders activation. Alright, and for the Crusaders activation, they moved twice. And then I'm going to fire their crossbows in at my cannon. So this will be 5 shots hitting on 5s. And that's 3 hits. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'll get a +1 to my save. So this will be a 5-up save. And I lose 1 man. And then my grit is a 4. Pass 1, fail 1. I'll take 1 fatigue. Alright, moving on. Hussites. Alright, next up, my level 3 will activate the handgunners, which will fire down into those crossbowmen. So this will be 8 shots hitting on 5. And that's 3 hits. And then they will get a save of 5. Taking 2 casualties. And then 3 grit saves. What is it, grit modifier?
It's a 3.
3, so they fail 2, taking 2 fatigue. And then we go back to Crusaders activation. Alright, Mounted Knights keep their charge forward towards the fortified ruins. And then back to Hussites, my war wagon will activate, firing in to those knights, hitting on 4s. And that will be 4 hits. Normal save of 4. Oof. Taking 3 casualties. That's not a good start. And that'll be 4 grit saves as well. As the Mounted Knights are getting cut down on their charge. Passing all but 1, so they'll take 1 fatigue. But they do have Iron Will, so they will not break if they accumulate more fatigue than models. So that we go on back to Crusaders. Alright, continuing on. Another unit of knights moved forward. And then I countered by moving my billman out to meet them. And then she moved up her knights, or her men-at-arms. And then for my last action, I just readied up my handgunners, so I forgot to do that on their turn. And with that, we come to our end of our first turn. And so we'll go ahead and roll initiative now. And Crusaders will get the first action. Alright, and at the start of round 2, she brought up her level 3 leader to get within range of the rest of her units. And then back to me, I readied up my handgunners, and now I'm going to fire in at this unit of knights. So this will be 5 to hit. And just 2 hits. With a 4-up save for the knights. Succeeding with 1, failing the other one, so they lose 1. And then 2 grit saves of 3.
Yep.
Which they pass. So, taking 1 casualty and no grit or no fatigue. And then we go back to Crusader's activation. Alright, for the Crusaders, in a desperate bid not to take any more fire, she spent 2 CP to command her knights that were out of range to form close order and perform a mass charge on my war wagon. So this will be a -2 to my save modifier, and I forgot to fortify the war wagon, giving me a +1 to my save, so I'm going to defend this attack. Spending 1 action. So 5 attacks hitting on 3. And that's just 3 hits. And then I need to make my melee attack, which is 4, to block. And I block all of them. Alright, I'll take that. And so then they will back up, taking 1 fatigue. And then it'll go back to the Hussite's turn. Alright, next up for the Hussites, I spent 2 actions to ready my crossbowmen, and then for the 3rd action they're going to fire in to these knights on my right. So it'll be 10 shots hitting on 5s. That's decent. That's 5 hits. And then they'll get a 4-up save. Taking 4 casualties, and that is the entire unit of knights, as the Hussites are just slaughtering all these Crusaders. And that'll be at their 2nd break point. And then, so they'll get a fatigue for that. And unloaded twice. So, we move on back to Crusaders. Alright, and for the Crusaders, these men-at-arms made a double movement forward, trying to close the gap between my ranged units. And then for the Hussites, I activated my billmen, which made 2 movement to try and flank the mounted knights. And then we go back to Crusaders activation. Next up, the Crusaders activated the 1 lone knight who charged through the hail of fire coming his way, taking out his comrades as he breaches the lines and charges the light cannon. This will be a 3 to hit. And that'll hit. And I will have a save of 6. Oh, that's another one of the cannon loaders gets taken out. And then 2 grit saves of 4. As I take 1. And then that knight will take 2 grit for charging on broken ground and fighting. And then we go back to Hussites. Alright, and for the Hussites, I moved my leader back. And then the Crusaders passed. And then back to me, I activated my Billman, which charged for to take out that lone knight. So this will be 10 attacks. Hitting on 4s. Only scoring 4 hits. I'm sure that knight will be fine. Needing a 4-up save. And that is a dead knight. And a fatigue to me. And then a pass for the Crusaders and a pass for me as we bring round 2 to an end. Alright, at the start of round 3, the Crusaders are closing in on the defensive Hussite lines. So, let's roll initiative. And that is a 2 for the Hussites and a 1 for the Crusaders. Alright, let's see what happens. Alright, for my first action, I activated the War Wagon, which spent 2 actions to ready. And then for its third, it's going to fire into these knights at point blank range. So they will suffer a -1 modifier to their save. But and then, so this will be 4 is a hit. And that is 3 hits. And then 3 5-up saves for the knights. As they pass 1, taking 2 casualties, and then they'll make 3 grit saves. Passing 2, failing 1, so they'll take 1 fatigue, and 2 casualties, was it?
3, I believe. Oh, 2.
2 casualties. Alright, and then back to the Crusaders action. Alright, for the Crusaders, she activated her men-at-arms, which made 2 movement forward, and then performing an all-out attack on my Billman. Supposed to be 9 attacks, hitting on 3s. 6s will count as 2. Alright, only missing 2 hits, or 3 hits, and 1 6. And then I chose to defend with the Billman. So, what do we got here? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9?
8 altogether. Put in this one for the 6.
Oh, okay. So, 8 hits. I will need 4s to block. Blocking 3 of them. And then a 6-up save. Saving 2. Taking 3 casualties. And then make 4 grit saves of 4. Taking 3 grit, which will actually be enough for me to back up. As she wins that combat, she will take 3 fatigue as well for charging and doing a all-out attack. And then it goes back to Hussites. Alright, for my turn, I activated my Billman, which made 1 movement and then a charge attack on her knights. And she is defending with those knights. So, got 10 attacks, hitting on 4s. And she takes 4 hits, and then she will block on 3s. Blocking all but 2. And then 2 4-up saves. Failing both of them, as she takes 2 casualties. And 3 grit saves. And made them all?
Yeah.
Alright. So I will take a fatigue and back up. And then we go back to Crusaders activation. Alright, for the Crusaders, she activated her crossbowmen, which readied up twice. And then for the third action, they're going to fire into my handgunners. So it's going to be 3 attacks hitting on 5s. That's 2 hits. And then my save will be a 5 because of the battlements. I make 1 fail 1, so I'll take take 1 casualty. And then 2 grit saves of 4. Failing 1. So I will take 1 fatigue. And then they will take a fatigue. Actually, 2 fatigues. Oh wait, no, 1. My bad. One fatigue for a 3rd action. Alright. Back to Hussites activation. Alright, and for the Hussites, I spent a CP with my level 3 to activate my handgunners, which I had to spend a fate die to pass the grit test. And so now they readied up twice and are going to fire into the crossbowmen, try and take them out. It'll be 7 shots, hitting on 5. That's 3 hits. And they will get a, what's your save? 5 up save?
Yep, 5 up. 6s actually.
6s?
Yeah, 6s.
Light cavalry? No, it's a 5.
5.
Yep. Alright, so they take 2 casualties and then make 3 grit tests.
Okay.
Which they fail, taking 3 fatigue. That'll bring them to 4. They took 2 casualties, so that will break the unit, as they have more fatigue than the models. Alright, and then we go back to Crusaders, which they are basically out of units. So we'll see what they can do. Alright, for the Crusaders, she moved her leader up forward towards the lines, and then I spent command point to ready up my crossbowmen, and then she charged her other leader into my billman, so it'd be 1 attack hitting on a 3. Hits, and this will be a 6 up, which I don't, so I take 1 casualty. 2 grits, which I pass, and then heal back up with 1 fatigue. And then for my last action, I fortified my war wagon, which will now bring us to the end.
I believe I still got him.
Oh, you got a command point left?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you going to do with him?
We're just going to charge him.
Alright, make a grit test. Pass. Alright. Charging into my billman. So this will be 1 attack. Hit on a 3. Hits. 6 up save, which I pass. And then a grit test of 4. Pass as well. Gaining that knight another fatigue. But he will not run away because he has Iron Will. And then, as I said, for my last command point, I fortified the war wagon. And that ends round 3. And the Crusader army has reached 3 breakpoints. So they will roll 3 dice. They are at a -1 for having an extra breakpoint. So they will need 4s to hold. And that's 2 successes, 1 failure. So they'll have a -1 on their next initiative as we go to round 4. Alright, initiative roll. 4 for me, and a 4 for her, which will go down to 3. For a Hussite first activation. Alright, for my first action, I'm spending a CP to activate the war wagon, which will ready up twice and fire the handguns into the men-at-arms. So this will be 6 shots, hitting on 4s. That's 3 hits. They have a -1 to their save. So 5s. Only taking 1 casualty. So 2 grit saves. They'll have a -1 for their because of their fatigue.
So I need 4s.
4s. Pass 1, fail 1, taking 4 fatigue. And then back to Crusaders activation. Alright, next up the Men-at-Arms pass their grit test to activate, and they are charging into my Billman. Is this all-out attack or just a regular attack?
I'm gonna do all out.
Alright. 8 all-out attacks. This is a -1 to their melee combat, so they're hitting on 4s. Ouch. Only 3 hits. And then I need 6s. So I take 3 casualties. Yep. And a 4-up grit save. Only taking 1 fatigue. And 3 casualties. I'll get them out after. And then it goes back to they'll take. They're now at 6 fatigue. And then we'll go to Hussites activation. Next up, my Billman activated, charging into the level 2 leader. This will be 9 attacks, hitting on 4s. Taking 5 hits. Were you defending?
I'm gonna defend.
Okay.
You said how many hits?
5.
5.
Needing 3s to block. Blocking all but 2. And then 2 4-up saves. Taking 1 wound. I think they have 2 wounds.
Yeah, he's on 1.
Alright. Grit test. 2. Taking 1 fatigue in the process. And then it goes back to Crusader's turn. Alright, and for the Crusaders, the level 3 leader turns and charges into my Billman. So it's me hitting on 3s. Taking 3 hits, and then 6-up save for me. As I take 3 more casualties. And 2 grit, or 2 fatigue. And then back to Hussites activation. Alright, next up my crossbowmen are going to activate firing into this lone knight here, trying to finish him off. So it'll be 10 attacks, hitting on 5s. Only 3. Alright, and then a 4-up save for that knight. And he goes down. And then we're just going to spend 1 action more to ready up. Just once. And then it's back to Crusaders. Alright, so the Crusaders passed. And they went back to me, which I just brought out my leader to try and take on her leader. In case we go another round. Then we both passed again. Which brings us to the end of this round, and another breakpoint test for the Crusaders at a -1.
How many?
Just 3 dice. You need 4s, and that is 2 failures and a broken Crusader force for a Hussite victory. Thanks for watching, guys.